What about digital divide? What can we do collectively?
I know. And, it's very sad, a point. Once again, I'm joining from Virginia in the United States, but there are 330 million Americans. 163 million Americans do not have access to high speed, dependable, affordable internet. Oh my gosh, that's more than 50% of the United States. So a lot of people think that access to real, internet speed and stuff like that is just problems in developing countries. It's not. It's not. With our infrastructure in the United States being old, we have a real problem. I know that the governor of my state, Virginia, just made an announcement that we were going to spend, hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure that people in the Commonwealth of Virginia have high speed access. But the problems with these issues is it is widening the digital divide. I would also just give an example. It was sad for me to learn that refugees spend an average of 20 years in a refugee camp. That means some people are being born, and they spend their childhood, their teen years, their early adult in a refugee camp. In the past, when the Red Cross, the United Nations, other organizations trying to help people that are in trouble would ask them, what do you need? They would say, we need water, clean water, we need food, we need clothing. Well, you know what they ask for now, Irene? They ask for good Wi-Fi, because almost all of them have some kind of phones, or we can get them phones. But if they have Wi-Fi, they can try to get themselves out of this problem. And it is important to note that many, many people that are refugees are also people with disabilities, because disabilities covers a lot, including when we're traumatized. So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which there are estimates that 65% of Americans are going to have PTSD after we hopefully all, we hopefully survive this pandemic. But that's not just the US. Those are just happen to be numbers I know. So the digital divide for people that are disenfranchised, people that are poor, people part of communities like disabilities or aging people, people over 65, the digital divide is widening. And I think we as society should be very concerned about that.
Absolutely, absolutely, Deborah. So you mentioned education.
Mhm.
Okay, let's stop there because, of course, right, the pandemic exposed the weak points. And how do you think we're doing now? Because we're into 2021.
Well, I think we learned a lot. I really do. And I hope and I do believe we're going to continue to learn from these lessons. I know that before the pandemic, I talked often on my shows and my platforms about, how isolating people with disabilities become, especially people with certain types of disabilities, very isolating. And society disables people by not letting them meaningfully contribute to society. People with disabilities, they want to work, they want to be taxpayers, they want to use technologies. But if we're not designing with everybody's needs in mind, we're leaving large amounts of the populations out. So we learned a lot. Like you said, teachers learned a lot, students did, parents. I think a lot of people got why technology is so important and why we need reliable Wi-Fi to go with it, because it's got to be looked at from the lens of ICT, internet, communications, and technology. I can have the best technology in the world, but if I don't have the right communications and the right Wi-Fi to, get out and use my technology, it may as well just be a paperweight. So we have to, the legislators, the leaders, everybody has to really understand that everybody should have access to education for all. But we can't have education for all if we haven't made sure that technology and communications are accessible as well, because it's only technology for all if you happen to have the money, or you happen to be in a place where you can get Wi-Fi, or if. And so, unfortunately, the digital divide is widening, and we saw it during the pandemic. But I do hope we continue to learn from the lessons that we learned. And, for example, another one is telemedicine and telehealth. We've been wanting to do that forever, but during the pandemic, we actually started doing it. And so I don't want to go back. If I have something I want to talk to my doctor about, I want to do it on Zoom, like or online. I don't want to have to go in, drive there, take my time, drive back. So I think society learned a lot, but I hope society doesn't forget it. One more point, Irene. Actually, corporations, employers realized that their employees were more productive at home. Huh. Maybe work-life balance is good for all of us, including your productivity.